when we're doing it, a lot of times, combat isn't perfect. A lot of shit goes wrong. Chaos comes into the fold, and inevitably, we're going to make some mistakes. They make good moves. The key is just rolling with it, right? And also, to that point, also practicing it as perfectly as you can is super important, because when you do it for real, there's always going to be a little thing that's off. But if you're practicing it a little bit off or a lot off, when you do it for real, what's going to happen? It's going to be like way off, right? So dedicating your practice to be as perfect as possible. Perfection is not real. Okay? The key is rolling with it. There's a mistake that happens, keep going, adjustments. He didn't do it perfectly, but he kept adjusting. Right? That's more realistic. Okay? And the more familiar you are with the move, the easier it is going to be for you to adjust if it doesn't go perfectly. Does that make sense? So good stuff, guys. Again, not a crazy amount of moves, but my hope is that these are moves that you can integrate into your game right away. Right? And that you have a little bit better understanding of what you need to do. And then also, that talk in the beginning, that you may have maybe a more precise vision of what you want with your jiu-jitsu or what you want with your practice. Right? Not everyone here is going to be a professional fighter or wants to be a professional fighter. But when we're in here, get the most out of your training. Right? Expect the most out of yourself. Give your best all the time. Okay? But really good stuff. I think it's really important to ask good questions. It shows that you're thinking. I'm usually more impressed with good questions than I am with answers. Right? Because it means that you're thinking, you're asking the right thing. But also, it's very helpful to me. I don't know everything. I wish I did. I don't. And sometimes someone asks me a question and I'm like, I haven't thought about that. Why is that? And it helps me get a little deeper into the technique and get a better understanding of it. So I appreciate the questions, guys, always. So really good work today. Really good work. Any questions, guys, on anything that we went over today that maybe wasn't clear?
You said that back triangle is like held to a position, so there's no progression better than that back triangle.
That's a great question. I would say it's probably the most powerful finish from the back, I think. Not only because you're utilizing your legs around the neck, but also you have some secondary and tertiary options, right? We have the arm lock, we have the kimura, we have wrist locks. So it gives you follow-up where the rear naked choke, you don't get the rear naked choke. Yeah, you have the arm lock, but I would never give up, for me, I would never give up a choke to get an arm lock. Why do you think that is, guys?
There's always a top guard for an arm lock and not for a choke.
Yes, exactly. Or a flexible guy. Like we've seen guys like, or a guy's like, a guy that's cool with getting his arm broken. We've seen it in the UFC, like girls, guys, like crack, or someone gets, you're like, damn, that dude's tough. They probably stop the fight anyway, but you're like, if that was a real fight, damn. Some people are willing to lose their arm and then beat you with it. Right? Like Monty Python, right? Don't leave flesh wound. Right? So just, and a choke, it doesn't matter how tough you are, you're going to sleep if it's done correctly. Arm lock, you can do it perfectly, and maybe that guy doesn't tap. Dan Hardy against George St. Pierre, you guys remember that one way back in the day? Crazy. Tough people do exist. So the cool thing, to go back to this point, you still have the triangle around his neck the whole time with your legs. You can always go back to it. He is most likely not really slipping out of that unless there's like a major issue. So you can go to the arm lock and still retain the choke the whole time, which I think is a really nice option. So for that reason, I think it's cool too. It's a very good question. Any other questions about the technique, guys?
Yeah, Teddy, the first takedown, if I mess up and you downside,
yes.
Options from there, what too?
Great question. Reese, did you guys ask this? No, you guys asked this question. Yes, exactly. Let's come over here. Go get in the middle so you give you a little more space. So there's what's called a Barzagar double. I believe is an Iranian wrestler that kind of became famous for this style of takedown. Now he's kind of using it like a knee shield, like you would from half guard, and he's creating space. So he essentially has a frame between you and him, which is kind of preventing you from eating up that space for the takedown. What you're going to do is you're going to cup his knee, you're going to pull it out of the way, and you're going to step. Your shoulder is going to drive, and you're going to hold his knee. Don't pull his knee necessarily, but hold his knee, pull it out of the way, and don't run him backwards. Run him over here.
With this one?
Yes, and you're going to basically just keep moving your feet as you run across it. That's it. It's kind of like either knee tap style, like you just did it,
Okay.
or you can go bars of guard, almost go to the double and just pull him off of his feet. Just make sure that it's almost like he has way more power kicking back like a donkey, right? If I'm driving it backwards, get your legs behind you, right? He's got way more horsepower here than he does here, right? We don't have as much strength going out, right? We're kind of using like hip muscles and smaller muscles of our legs. Here I can use a lot more muscle going back to really fight it. I can use my hip as a frame. But when he's moving across, it's almost like I'm tipping him over a fence. Like if I was gonna dump him over a fence, that's how I would do it. So think of it in terms of that way for that bars of guard double or knee tap. Dominic Cruz has a great knee tap takedown that he uses a lot. So that's an option if they get that shin across the leg. George St. Pierre had a phenomenal bars of guard double. He used to hit me with it all the time. I'd be like, I'm safe here, then I'd just go flying. Like, whoa. Any other questions, guys? Really good questions. Cool. What about, we have a little bit more time. What about, I don't know, random questions? Martial arts related questions only.
Do you know
I know
much
nothing
about
of
constraints that approach for like coaching?
Do I what?
You know much anything about like constraints that approach coaching and like skill acquisition? Bit of a nerdy topic kind of.
Do I have what? Sorry.
The constraints that approach, like an approach to coaching.
Do I have an approach to coaching?
Do you know much about that or like what's your approach to coaching and skill?
Oh yeah.
Like just drilling like the same thing over and over again?
Yeah. So I would say this. Some people. I don't think there's one approach as far as coaching, right? Because everyone learns differently. There's certain guys that are like, they need to do it physically and technically over and over and over again until they get it. There's certain people, like my brother's really good. My brother will like see things once and I'm like, oh, I got it. And he'll do it. And I'm like, let me see you do it. And he'll do it perfectly. I'm like, what the hell? There's other people that need to understand. I'm like, I need to understand it for me to trust it. I've always been that way. Like, I'm like, okay, I can do it, but I'm not sure I can really do it. I'm not sure I know it. I need to be like, I need to know why it works. And once I know why it works, then I'm like, okay, I can get this to work. And I can at least problem solve things a lot better. One of the worst things is when you, even if you can do it, but you don't know why you're doing it. Like, oh, what'd you do? How'd you get that submission? I have no idea. Like, that's not a good place to be either. You want to know why you can do things. I think that's super helpful for you to diagnose it and then to make it repeatable, right? So that's me. So I think I try my best to see how people learn and adjust on that. Like for my students, in the seminar, my main approach is always conceptual for the most part. And I try to talk about more of the big things, the macro stuff, and try to get people to understand it the best that I can. Not always a perfect thing. I always find that each time I kind of refine it. But did I answer your question a little bit? Sorry. Yeah. I don't think there's one method, for learning. Everyone learns in different ways in different time frames, and what I do think is helpful, and what I do suggest is like something like seminars, classes. I would keep a journal. Starting when I was a white belt, I would write down moves, what it was, what I learned. It would help me remember it,
and I would, in my mind, try to go step by step of what I thought I heard or how I saw it. And I would also have my journal to document training sessions, what I did well, what I didn't do well, where I felt uncomfortable, where I felt comfortable, what I was doing, what I wasn't doing, how I did in a tournament, how I didn't do in a tournament. And it seems like a lot, but it really isn't. And what it served as is like, that was kind of my honest account of how I saw things. And that way I'd hold myself accountable. I can be more specific with my training. I can go to the journal and be like, oh yeah, my passing sucks. I need to work on my passing. Or, geez, my guard was really off from half guard. Make sure you address that like for that week. And then I'll talk about the drilling and what I was working on. And it's nice because then you can also kind of go back and see how far you've come along. And I always think it's just a good practice in general. I think it's really, really helpful. And it's just for you, so whatever the hell you want, you know. But I think it's a nice training tool. So that's a cool thing. Were you gonna say something?
Sorry, yeah, I was going to ask you a question. It kind of leads on to Gareth's question. He has this debate in the gym. We talk about it all the time. As in practice versus training. So, like, as in practicing the technique, getting the repetitions of the technique, as opposed to applying that technique in a live reactive environment.
Okay.
This is what he's getting at. It's just
Okay. Dude, if I'm not understanding, tell me. I told you, I'm slow, but once I get it, I get it.
Use some specific like sports science terminology as well.
Awesome. No. Brilliant question. I know where you're going now. Okay. Because it's a broad question. I wasn't sure. This is more specific. Okay. Awesome. You can drill all freaking day long. And again, this is different. You got to train. You need to do it for real. Here's the happy medium between both those things. Doing it for real and drilling. You know when someone says flow rolling? I'd say like 90% of people who train jiu-jitsu don't know what flow rolling is. Flow rolling is me giving Reese a realistic look at how someone would react to what he's doing, but giving him enough space and time to execute the moves that he was drilling. Does that make sense? I can't feel like, hey, Reese, ready? Like, do that single that we went over. I'm going to give him a realistic look. We're going to flow roll. Dude, wow, that was really good. He got nothing out of that, right? I was just like a floppy fish, and I didn't give him a realistic look. Or I could do this. Right? Hey, man, let's flow roll. Let's go light, bro. Dude, you almost got it, man. That was really good. We were flowing there, right? No, right? So it would be more like this. Let me try.
Am I getting a single?
Yeah, you get the single. Gave him just enough where he had to go through 2 or 3 kind of moves, right, a little bit. I didn't just give it to him, right? But also wasn't resisting like a beast, right? So, and that takes time. I would never expect a white belt or even a lot of blue belts to know how to flow roll. That takes time and sensitivity. Some can, but so it's like finding that happy medium where he got something out of that. And we could probably do that for an hour straight and get a nice sweat, but none of us feel like our bodies are destroyed after the training session. But there's a time for going all out too. Like, hey, put the timer on, let's rock. We're going full on, sparring, right? And again, it should always be controlled. It should never be spastic, right? But if we're trying to help each other, right, and I'm just resisting everything he's doing, or if I'm just like a dead fish, he's getting nothing. He's like, dude, get out of here. Right? Finding the good flow rolling partner is actually really, really difficult. Really, that's why I was really lucky that I had a couple brothers that I rolled with, because we knew each other so well. It was like, yeah, let's roll, let's flow roll. Like, okay, I know what that means. Let's go hard. I know what that means. Let's drill. I know what that means. Right? We worked together for so long. In the beginning, it was just us going all out trying to kill each other. But over time, we're like, oh, wait a sec. None of us we're just fighting here. This is not good. And part of it's good because you know how to be competitive, but if I want to get more technical, I want to get better with my jiu-jitsu, I need to find that happy medium. And I need to do it without beating myself up, right? I said, I can't just get in that race car. It's either really nice, but I can't just step on the gas all the time, full on, and step on the brakes full on and expect that nothing's going to happen to that car. There's going to be repercussions for it. And we're in this for the long term. You know, I don't want to train for this for 6 months. I want to train this for as long as possible, right? So does that make sense? So I think finding that balance, all three need to be done, but expecting to just drill and be like, man, I'm going to be so good. I'm not going to spar. No, I'm just going to drill. No. Right? Jiu-jitsu, wrestling, judo, boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai. These are martial arts that are highly effective because we can spar safely. No offense to any Krav Maga guys here, but there's always like, well, I don't spar, I'm too dangerous. I would eye gouge you and rip your balls off. I can't, I'm too dangerous. I don't do sparring, bro. I'm for the streets. Right? My stuff is for the streets. You're like, oh, that means you don't spar. Got it. Right? And it's like, it's always funny because you're like, oh, okay, so you needed to learn Krav Maga to eye gouge someone. Interesting. Okay. Well, very technical. So again, you know, having a good resisting partner is what makes the martial art better, because you're literally like, you're honing each other, you're making each other sharper, better, smarter, right? More adaptable, all that stuff. So
would you say that applies to MMA as well, like across all the sort of disciplines?
Absolutely. People talk about people losing their chin, right, over time. I don't want to use any names because, you know, I'm friends with a lot of people. Sparring, fighting, that takes its toll on, right? We all agree. We've seen fighters, amazing chins, then all of a sudden not so amazing chins. You're like, well, what happened? Right? Well, it's very real. The effects of what you do, there's repercussions for that. You can't expect to be like a bull and be like, nothing's going to happen to the horns, nothing's going to happen to the head. Eventually, you use it enough, there's going to be repercussions for it. Your body, you know, it's not this machine that was necessarily built for fighting. What made humans good at fighting was our ability to use weapons, actually, right? So we have to be mindful of those things. All right, I can trade, but I'm going to feel the repercussions of that. That's why, you know, efficiency and effectiveness is super important as far as your mindset. Do you want to be durable? Do you want to be tough? Absolutely. And you have to know those things every once in a while through your sparring and your fighting. Should you be leading with that? Probably not. Probably not the best. Or just expect to not have the longest career. You can't fight like that for it.
What percentage of...
Did that answer your question, by the way, sir?
Yeah, sound.
Okay, so just finding that balance, like light sparring. Okay, today, hard sparring. But if you do hard sparring 7 days a week, 6 days a week, 5 days a week, maybe not. But you can do 5 days a week light sparring and still get a lot out of it. But it can't be to the point where it's not realistic. It's got to be real looks. You got to have control. You got to go with more experienced guys, right? The most dangerous people in the room are white belts and blue belts. Sorry. But they really are. It's just, the more experienced guys, they know how to be relaxed and give you enough good looks, like to where you're like, oh, I feel like I can do jiu-jitsu and not get your butt kicked, you know? And then you get some people who are like, man, that black belt is like, he's not very good. It's like, he was just going right with you, man. He was helping you out. Okay, does that make sense? So just balancing the training, being smart with it, not running your body into the ground.
Oh, yeah. So going back to that, like, what percentage of the time would you be going hard and full on, like you're trying for competition or for a fight, or even surrounding or something's coming up? Would you say once a week, or like more than that, or is it?
It depends on the person.
Sometimes if I go to I'm fucked. Like,
yeah.
I'm just fucked. Like,
breaking news, it's tough on your body. Martial arts can be tough on your body. So I would say that would be an indication that you're doing it too much. everyone's, and you know, like I think managing that and how you train and who you train with is super important. Again, having that trust and having that understanding between you and your training partners is important. It's easy to go too far down one side of the spectrum and too far down the other side of the spectrum. And you know, it's important that you know the coach or the whoever's running the team practice is managing that and looking out for those things. Does hard training have a place in your overall camp? 100%. Do not ignore that. But you also can't do that all the time. And that answer, I'm not going to give an answer because that could vary for so many different people. Yeah, like there was George St. Pierre volume of work, which was like insane. And then there was like, I won't mention any names, but there were other UFC fighters like, man, I'm working hard. No, you're not. You're actually not. Right? So, yeah.
So obviously outside that, what would you do for strength and conditioning, and like how would you improve, I don't know, your stamina and stuff like that,
Sure.
and stuff like that?
I'll say this. This might be a little controversial, but what is better to get in shape, to get you in shape, than doing the sport that you're trying to get in shape for? What would be better than that, you think? Doing the sport. It's like, man, I gotta get in shape for basketball season. I'm gonna go running. You're like, why don't you just play more basketball? Huh, more basketball, eh? Interesting. Let me try that. Now, I'm being, somewhat sarcastic, but I'm being real. I think that there's truth to what I said, but I also think there's great value in strengthening parts of your body that need it, right? Like example, like, I don't know, are you stretching? Is stretching going to help you recover? Yeah. Is stretching going to help you avoid injuries? Yeah, there's value in that. Working explosive training, is that going to help you? Absolutely, I think so. It's going to help you in certain instances when you need to push, when you need to explode or a takedown, you need to get a lift or something, I think those things help. I'm of the belief it's like, all right, do I do Olympic lifting or do I just work my wrestling technique more? Some people, and some people might disagree with me. I would probably go more the wrestling route because there's probably things I need to improve structurally to get it. And then once I feel like I'm comfortable with that, I might go back and you know what? I need to get stronger. I also think like keeping your body healthy with weights as opposed to being like, I'm going to use this as a method to get stronger. I've seen so many people beat up their body with weights. Like, again, I hurt my back doing Olympic lifting because my technique sucked. I had no business doing it. I could have done some beginning part of it, and I was okay at it. I wasn't great at it. And mentally, I'm like, I'm going to push through this. I'm going to keep going, and then I injure myself. So, again, I'm just talking about my experience. I'm not really built for weights, really. I'm not built to be like this beast. You might be, right? I mean, you just have a different body type than me, right? Everyone's different. Everyone reacts to training differently. So I would always, look at how you are, how you respond, get consulting from coaches, get their opinions, but also just know, like when I was fighting MMA, you ask your striking coach, and you're like, hey man, what do you think I should work with? Oh man, striking for sure, striking. You just get your striking in order. That's the answer. And you ask your jiu-jitsu coach, like, what should I work on? What's he gonna say? Jiu-jitsu, man. You gotta work on jiu-jitsu. That's for sure. Jiu-jitsu. You ask your strength conditioning coach what you should work on. Man, strength conditioning, it's everything. It's everything. Like, when you only have a wrench, you're always gonna think the problem should be solved by a wrench. Right? So just understand that. Take it with a grain of salt. Take all the information you can. Do your own research, right, and then put it all together. Try to be as unbiased as possible, and make a determination based on it. We're all biased. I'm biased. We're all gonna have certain biases. So just what else, guys? One more question.
Who's your favorite jiu-jitsu martial artist?
My favorite jiu-jitsu martial artist.
Doesn't have to even be like a competitor. If you like jump down or something.
Right now, at present moment, overall, based on what I've seen technically, what I've seen mentally, what I've seen work ethic wise, what I've seen from a talent perspective, what I've seen from a physical perspective, Mika Galvao is really, really impressive. Mika Galvao. Just like Andre Galvao, same last name, different family. Mika, M-I-C-A, Mika Galvao. Won the world championships this year, first year at black belt, 18 years old. Yeah, absolute beast. Watch him, dynamic. He's got a great mix of old school and new school jiu-jitsu. His dad is a black belt. He's got some really good teammates as well. Awesome no-gi, awesome gi. Just mature young man. You're just like, who is this guy? Like, martial artist to the core. Doesn't talk shit, a phenom. And just amazing. To me, he's the guy that kind of stands out to me. He's going to be dominating for a very long time. From a no-gi jiu-jitsu perspective, Gordon Ryan is, there's no one better than him right now. You know, he's very, very good. Head and shoulders above everybody else, whether you like it or not. But he's amazing. But guys, thank you so much. Again, Reese, thanks so much for having me. Thank you guys for coming out and supporting the seminar. Speaking of supporting the seminar, my man Dwayne over here, do you have t-shirts? No?
I've just had a message off Steve saying he's left them in the boot to the course.
Oh, you did? Okay.
It can be ordered. I can take payments.
Yeah, if you guys want.
And it'll be free delivery. We'll cover the cost for the delivery.
Yeah, we have some t-shirts that we're selling through Grappling Gorilla that, has, the Kenny Florian seminar tour. They're 20 pounds. If you guys have the means to support, I'd appreciate that. This seminar and the seminars that I'm doing all week wouldn't be possible without Grappling Gorilla, so I'd appreciate it. I think we have some shirts left, different sizes, so hit up Dwayne, talk to him for all that information. I also have an instructional DVD available where I go over all of the positions and talk about the basics and fundamentals at KennyFlorianMartialArts.com. So it's a whole series. And for my seminar participants, I'm offering a 50% coupon code, which I'm not offering for anybody else. It's UK50. If you guys like, what you learned here, I teach a lot of similar stuff from all the basic positions of jiu-jitsu. So if you guys want to take advantage of that, feel free, no obligation. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Hopefully these are things that you guys can integrate into your game. And best of luck with your training, guys, and competition. Thank you. If you guys, let's do a group picture. If you guys want individual